Appreciate every single one of you tuning in. For those that are just meeting me, my name is Arnold Austin. I'm a certified coach. I'm out of the area of New Jersey in the USA. I am a certified coach in relationships, but also in relationship trauma. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about our relationships, but I also want to talk to you from the vein of a lot of the damage, a lot of the heartbreak that takes place within our relationships or within relationships in general. And see, why I want to talk to you about this is because, when I explained who I was, I am a certified relationship trauma coach. The trauma part of relationships represents the negative aspects or the emotionally charged aspects of the relationship that end up affecting the person long term, somewhere down the future or somewhere down the road. And so, with that being said, I've been doing a lot more coaching as far as with individuals one on one, and doing as far as assessments of their particular situation in their relationship. And what I found is that over time is that there's just there's a lot of infidelity that's going on within the world right now. I won't say within society, I'll say within the world. And it's affecting men, and it's affecting women, it's affecting everybody. It's affecting straight people, it's affecting people that are gay, it's affecting every single person that you can imagine. And the thing with the betrayals that are taking place is that it's bringing a lot of damage to people, because the heartbreak, and it's like I was talking to a client yesterday, and she mentioned that, or she wrote it and underneath a post that I had, and she said something to the effect of that heartbreak isn't just something that's talked about in symbolism, but it's actually something that actually takes place and that happens within us, or that happens to us as people when we've trusted someone, when we've loved someone, when we've invested our hearts, and when we've given of ourselves, and when we've offered our heart to that person. Because if you truly love a person, or if you think that you love them, what you're actually doing, and I say this all the time, is that you're basically taking your heart and you're offering it to that person. And in the process of you offering your heart to that person, you have to make sure that they are a safe space. Are they safe? Are they a safe place that you can offer yourself and get a return? As far as the return would be, that they're not just going to discard it and not going to see the value of it. But part of the main process with all of this is us seeing the value within ourselves, seeing the value of your own heart before we offer it to another person, taking into a process, being slower in our assessment of individuals, and getting to the point where we're not just so quick to just because I'm attracted to the person and there's some chemistry there and some other things and some bada bing and bada bang and whatever and so on and so forth. But it's more of, is this person truly someone that's supposed to be in my life long term? Is this somebody that there's some level of compatibility, not just some chemistry? Part of this, I was thinking in terms of a client that I had spoken to a while back. This particular woman, she had been married for like 36 years. I'll say 36, 38 years. In the process of her being married for this period of time, of course, her and her husband had a lot of experiences, vacations. They were intimate. They just all of the things that couples do over that time frame. They had kids. They had different life events that came forth, and they were able to survive and get through them. And they just had a lot of experiences and things that took place. And so through that, what happened was, of course, there was a bond that was built there, and the bond was something that was a heart-based bond, especially I guess from her perspective. So at some point, she ended up getting an injury. I think it was a hip injury or a knee injury. I'm not sure which one it was right now, but she had a leg injury where she knew that she was going to be off work for a period of time. They had an associate that was kind of close to their family. And this particular associate, they both agreed, let's see, she was in a place where she needed some help financially, and she was trying to get herself back on her feet and get herself together. And so they ended up bringing her in and using her for a couple of days, and using her, periodically to help them as they navigated it, because they're self-employed. They have their own company. So in the process of this, they're helping this person, they're helping them get on their feet, they're doing all the different things. And like I said, she needed some time off because she had to get that surgery. And part of that surgery, again, it required her, sitting back and, no longer being the lead and taking the lead on a lot of things that she was doing with her husband at that point. Over a period of time, they ended up deciding to keep this person on because the person was very effective. They helped them, they saw the results, X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth, and of course, they ended up meeting her husband. And, so they kind of built a friendship with them. The couple that This the other couple, the one couple was in their 60s. The other couple, for instance, was maybe in like their 40s. 40s. I'm not early 40s, but they were somewhere in their 40s. So in the process of time, they kind of built like a friend, almost like a family, where they would, invite them to family events, and they would pay for, give them graduation gifts, and, all of the things that you do to people that you ingratiate and you allow into your life, and that you start building building something with from an emotional aspect. Long story short, she ended up starting to see some differences in her husband, and he's coming home a little bit later, and there's some things going on with his attitude, and he's she's just starting to notice certain things. So she ended up calling the guy that was that was the husband to the other to the woman, and calling him, talking to him, because he's a guy that did a job for them with some security alarms and things like that. And she wanted to check the security to see what was going on, and because her mind was he was cheating, but her mind wasn't that he would be cheating with the person that he was. And so she ended up contacting this person that did the video, or that put up the security system, and he went through this whole process of checking everything. And when they checked it and watched the film. The film was both of their spouses cheating on both of them. And so the devastation of that, and again, one marriage was maybe, for instance, 15 years or 20 years. The other one was 30 some years. And so you got two different relationships that are destroyed based upon the actions of two other people. And I'm saying this, and I went through this whole dissertation and this whole story for a reason. The reason why I went through this is because, when the other individuals that walked out, or that betrayed their partners, did what they did not think in terms of, how would this affect my other partner? How would this make them feel? And when we don't consider how something would make another person feel, then the question that I often ask, and it's self-explanatory, it's a rhetorical question. Because when we truly love someone and someone is important to us, then what we tend to do is we tend to think in terms of that person, and how my actions, my deeds, my speech, the way I present myself, my mannerisms, my professionalism, my ignorance, my hypocrisy, whatever I do in some way, shape, or form, it's going to impact and affect the other person that I'm supposedly in this relationship, or that I'm in that relationship with. And so, of course, once the devastation of that happened, it was very, very traumatic for both individuals. So now you have the possibilities of two more couples getting divorced because of infidelity, because of people not being honest and not putting up certain boundaries around other people. Of course, and the thing that most people don't realize is that most of the people that people cheat with are always people that they know. It's always somebody close, and generally the highest rate is those that they work with. That's why part of the reason why a lot of people joke around and say never marry a nurse. Why do they say that? Because nurses, they say, cheat with doctors. So I'm just throwing some things out there to you. But the three lies, and the three things that I would tell you to never do. If you go through a process like that and you are brokenhearted and you are hurt, the first thing that you should never do is that you should never, ever, ever, ever listen to the advice of someone that's on a site like this, YouTube, or any other site that's telling you, number one, that you should get over that person by getting underneath that person or over top of another person. And so what do I mean by that? The first thing that a lot of these gurus and these people with these large pages and they've got all these followings tell you is that in order to get over somebody, go find another person. That is horrible advice, because if it's someone that you truly loved and you cared about and that you invested your heart in, you're not going to be able to give that next person that you meet any part of your heart. Your heart is too damaged. The only thing that you're going to give them is your broken, hurt, pain, and suffering that you're in. Yes, you will satisfy your sexual needs, but at the end of the day, you will not be satisfying, or you will not be actually ever connecting to that person, because your heart is in too damaged of a position to connect with that person. So that's why that's horrible advice, because what you would be doing is you would maybe be perpetuating the process of hurt and hurting someone else. which that's something that I would advise that we do, because I believe in karma. I believe in law of sowing and reaping. And so whatever we do, it comes back in one form or another. And then you're still too damaged. I liken it unto you're in ICU. You are in a precarious position. You are hurt. You're not in a position to be able to be there for somebody else or help someone else or be there for someone else. And of course you have physical needs. So don't go shopping. Don't go food shop. They sit and they what when you're hungry? Because you're going to make bad choices. Second thing is substances. The second thing would be preferably don't allow substances to be used to numb what you're really feeling. Now, if you're a type of person that you believe that you can have a drink or so on and so forth, something that's legal, of course do that. And if certain things are legal in your state, of course do that. If it's something that you do in moderation, but my thought is, or my overwhelming thought is, don't allow yourself to be indoctrinated with what other people are saying and then getting into those environments and doing those things, because it's not going to allow you to sit in what you're feeling. It's not going to allow you to sit in what you're feeling and feel what you're feeling, because what you're feeling is real and it's important. In order to actually heal from it, and we have to sit in it. We have to feel what it feels like. And yes, there are painful parts, but it's not forever. It's for a space and moment, a space and time. It's not forever. So you can do it. You can get through this. This is why I'm sharing this information with you. So the first thing again would be people. Don't use other people as a numbing aspect. The second thing is don't use a bunch of narcotics and substances as your means to numb from what you're really feeling. The third thing would be something that I struggled with the most, would be I worked myself half to death. My schedule was filled from about 5:30 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, work and just different activities. I was just busy with all these things: qigong, kickboxing, lifting, going to working full time, starting another second business, doing a speakers group, going qigong. I mean, my schedule was insane. It was crazy. I barely had time. I had no extra time for anything. The only good thing about my schedule is that it didn't allow me any extra time to go out and do all these other things. Because by the time I did have a few moments, then I was washing clothes, or I was cooking something, or I was meal prep, or I was doing some other activity to help get my day or my week or whatever moving ahead or started. Because there was no time. There was no time for anything else. When you're coming out of a place of being in a heartbreak or breakup, you want to find some type of something where you're not allowing other things, other people, other places, and other things to dictate your life. And so part of what I do is I offer people coaching on how they can come through this through their most challenging, because that's one of our most, for many people, that's one of their most challenging scenarios, is finding out later on that the person that they've been with, and whoever's in here, I appreciate you being in here. If you get a chance, go back and watch the video from the beginning, because I tell a story of a couple and their challenge and how they navigated and got through it. And I appreciate you being in here. And so with that being said, one of the most challenging aspects in all of our lives is when we have trust of someone. We love this person. We're presenting ourselves to be honorable to them, reliable, honest, up front. And in the process of this person turns around and they betray you. Part of that betrayal that you may not understand is that your nervous system, because of dealing with that person, it's going to be an up and down, constant up and down, up and down. There will be no consistency, no flatlining, no balance. It'll be a constant up and down of emotions, because you've invested so much into another individual. And so part of that investment, when you're not receiving it back, it's rejection. If they're not accepting you, they're what? They're probably rejecting you. And so by them being unfaithful, that brings a level of rejection. And so part of what I teach is how to start accepting yourself again, how you can actually heal, how to understand that there's consequences when we don't go through the process of healing. One of the biggest consequences that many may not understand, or maybe not even recognize, is when you don't go through the process of healing, our subconscious, because of the emotionalism of that particular situation, it takes that information and it classifies it as something that's important. When information is classified as important, it is stored in our subconscious as information to remember. It's something that's important. And so our mind categorizes that as something that's important. Because it's categorized as something that's important, it's something that stays into where our long-term memories are. Your long-term memories is where your decision making is. So the relationships that you have after that are going to look like that relationship until there's a healing process that takes place. Because of the damage from that relationship, this is going to not only affect your relationships, but it's going to affect your money. This is the consequences of that one relationship. It's going to also affect your money. I refuse to allow somebody or something that went forth in my life to affect my money. It's going to affect your money. It's going to affect your mindset. It's going to affect your thoughts. It's going to affect you emotionally. It's going to affect the way that you navigate or don't navigate. I have a man right now that I know that was married for about 20 years. He ended up finding out that his wife was unfaithful. He met somebody like 4 years after his divorce. Ended up not being able to keep the relationship going because of a lot of things that were internally within his own mind, things that he didn't never deal with. Because he never dealt with those things, even when he met a good person, it didn't work because of what? Because of the things that were in his mind, because of his own stumbling blocks, I'll call them. And so with that being said, I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and share this video. Like I always say, I believe in you, but you got to believe in yourself. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.